Right, so I haven't done many driving videos, which seems to be like a vlog standard. Um, but I'm driving to work and just kind of thought of this. Um, so one thing I haven't talked a ton about is like the mouth issues. So I haven't had any big mouth sores, and part of it is that the first chemo I was on was supposed to have worse mouth sores. So I think I kind of let my guard down about the second one because I was like, oh, this is supposed to be better. Um, but it wasn't. So I've always had kind of like one little spot in my mouth that goes rough. But now, and this is like my sixth of my last chemo, my whole roof of my mouth is like really rough. Um, I described it as sandpaper. It's not quite sandpaper, but it's very, very rough. Um, also, I have a lot of dry mouth, so I'm using like biotin mouthwash, and I have a biotin spray that helps with that a bit. Um, but also like the taste buds are all off, so like I don't really taste, and I'm not getting the metallic taste that some people have. I'm getting more of just like an absence of taste, and everything feels like, I don't know, like roughage. Um, so everything feels really, really dry and really tasteless. So, you know, things like toast just taste like cardboard. They're horrible. Um, and even things with like moisture in them just don't taste right. So, I ate raspberries last night thinking that would help because they're really moist. And, um, like I ate them. But raspberries is like my favorite thing, and I'm like, they don't taste at all like that. So I'm not doing the whole, like, some people are like, oh, don't eat your favorite food. It's like, no, I don't force myself to eat something that tastes wrong, but you can eat whatever you want. So I'm still, it's funny, I find that there's a lot of pressure to like get your calories in and eat, even if you're eating candy, like eat anything. And I totally understand that for some people, because for some people it really is, they're eating 500 calories a day, and so if they're eating candy, that's fine, because you know you need you need enough calories to live. Absolutely. I find that because of the lack of my taste buds, I'm like, because I'm not getting the sensation of taste and the like um pleasure out of it, or just the brain sensation that I've eaten properly, I find I'm overeating a lot, because I'm just desperate for, like, okay, I'm hungry, because even though my body has food, my brain hasn't had food, if that makes at all sense. But the problem is that there's nothing during this period that really like fulfills that craving. So even candy, like even sour Skittles, were the closest thing I got to kind of being like, okay, I can taste that. That's good. Um, and again, I have some taste, it's just it doesn't taste right. And so no matter what I eat, and so it's really hard if you want, a cookie or want a piece of fruit or want anything. You eat it, and then it's like your brain is like, no, you tricked me. It's almost like the sensation of eating like a diet cookie or something, and your brain's like, no, that was not real. Um, so I'm having trouble with that, and I know that based on past experiences, it will be gone in a week. So it's not the worst thing in the world, if I gain a little bit of weight this week, and I'm still like not forcing myself, but like I'm still eating healthy things. It's not like I've just switched to like all horrible stuff. Um, like last night I had a steak and a salad. We did have a little bit of pasta with it that Kelly had made, but it just tasted so weird. um, but I still ate, and then had raspberries as well. It's just I'm finding it really hard, both with the texture and the taste. It's something you don't really think about that much, because you just don't think about your taste buds. It's not something you're, I don't know, used to. Yeah, so there's that. I did also meet with my surgeon yesterday. I guess I'm kind of bearing the lead on that. So I had a really good meeting with my surgeon. I really, really like him. He's very like to the point, very friendly. You feel like you can joke around with him. This is the third time I met him. So he had examined me originally when I had the breast lump, and he said it was fine. And I think he was right then. And then I met him right when I was diagnosed with cancer, and then again yesterday. And his staff have been really nice because I have called with questions and just been like, "What am I doing?" Um, and they've been really, really great. They're super friendly. I love them. Um, so, so two things with that actually. So one, just saying he saw it and thought it was fine. So we now know it was very hard when I had this gigantic lump that um, the MRI said was like 6 to 8 centimeters or something like that. My oncologist measured it, obviously from the outside, but measured 14 centimeters, so it's quite large, obviously, because I had thought it was fine. But it was hard then, even with imaging and everything, to be like, is the whole thing cancer? That's the size of the lump that we could feel. Now that the cancer has shrunk down to the point that my oncologist 3 weeks ago said felt like an almond, and the surgeon yesterday said he wasn't sure he could even feel at all, which is great. The thing that now that shrunk down, we realize I have a fibroid, like cyst thing, like a fibroid adenoma thing in my breast. And it's funny because now that the tumor has shrunk down, it feels like it did when I was pregnant and early breastfeeding. So we don't know for sure, but what I'm thinking at least is that I did just have a fibroid thing, and that's why it was missed on everything. So it may have been that there were really small growing cancer cells in there. It may just happen that I have got cancer at, almost the same time, but it's starting to make sense because the fact that my MRI and my ultrasound and the breast surgeon and the radiologist and 2 family doctors that felt it and imaged it all said it was fine and not at all worrisome and didn't have any characteristics, and then was cancer, has never made sense. And so, but now they're like, oh yeah, you just have a fibroid thing there. And I'm like, well, I didn't before. So that's kind of what we're wondering, is that maybe I grew a fibroid thing in my breast, and because I was watching that, we caught the cancer. Because otherwise, had I have just been told, yes, it's a fibroid, it's going to grow, ignore it, I wouldn't have went for a follow-up. So I'm really glad that we were continuing to follow it up, but anyway, that's a weird aside. But yeah, so because of the fibroid, it's a little hard to tell definitively, but he was like, he couldn't really feel it at all. So I'm having an MRI, just to kind of like double check that. And there may still be a bit there, and that's okay. It's very rare to get all the cancer gone, so that's okay. It's also going to look at my lymph nodes. So my lymph nodes originally, I had 4 that were like too big, but not too big. It's kind of weird. Like anything over, they're supposed to be under 4 millimeters, but nothing under 10 is my understanding, if I remember correctly, like is a big red flag unless you have cancer, and then they're like, oh, that might be. So mine were 6, so mine weren't huge. No doctor could feel my lymph node. Like there was no swollen presence with the oncologist, radiation oncologist, or surgeon. And I guess the surgeon had felt them, but anyway, everybody that felt there, nobody could feel it. The radiologist, doing the biopsies too, plus the radiologist in St. John. Sorry, my brain. Yeah, so lymph nodes. Yeah, brain fog is a thing. So we've never been sure. So they did biopsy one lymph node, but they kind of missed. So they got a little bit of lymph tissue, but not much. And um, just like muscle or fat or whatever was around it. So we didn't want to put me through another biopsy by the time we knew. And it's like, yeah, look, we're going to treat you like you have it in your lymph nodes anyway, which is why I've had this cancer regimen. And you're going to have surgery anyway, and we're going to take them out. So, like, why put you through another biopsy? So, like, my lymph nodes may or may not have been cancerous, so we don't know. Also, because I've had chemo now, the cancer may have went away. So we're really never going to know, which is a little frustrating. But I also didn't want another biopsy. So so he's going to do a sentinel node biopsy. You just kind of take the 1 to 2 nodes that kind of light up. It may be more where he had the 4 worrisome ones. I'm not exactly sure, and biopsy those during the surgery. So hopefully, even if there was a little cancer there, the chemo has gotten it. But it's all kind of stressful and weird. Yeah, so I'll talk more because I'm almost at work. I'll talk more later about the surgeon appointment. And but the good news is, yeah, he could barely, if at all, feel the tumor. And he, I don't go in front of people, buddy. And yeah, and it looks like recovery is going to be a lot better than I anticipated. He talked to me about how a lot of the restrictions we put on people aren't evidence-based and how they're just very old school of like, don't lift anything. So even when I said I know not to lift anything, he said why, and I was like, oh my god. He was like, obviously, like, don't just start lifting crazy things, you know, and if something hurts, back it off, but like you should be as active as possible. Yeah, so it was really nice because I'm very much of that thing of like, okay, we're doing this, why? And he said there's really no evidence to back up a lot of the restrictions we put on people. So, you know, there's some restrictions still, like I can't get my drains wet. And so he's like, yeah, like you won't be able to traditionally shower. You can still like wash yourself, but like don't get them wet. It's like, yeah, no, that makes sense. But, you know, he was like, if you pull your arm in a certain way or like reach for something and it hurts, like don't do it. Like obviously you want to like stretch and you know, you want to stretch but not hurt. So yeah, so it was really reassuring to hear him say that, because that was one of my big fears, was like, am I going to be able to hold anything? Like, what am I going to be able to do? So obviously I'm still not working during it, and I'll talk about that later too. But yeah, I'm going to take all of the surgery recovery time and radiation off, the 12 weeks, partially just for my mental health. I had a really, really great chat with my manager, who I love, yesterday, who was like, just like take the time to absorb. Like you know, she kind of can't believe that I worked through chemo, and neither can I. But she was really great and was like, just take the time off. I have EI. So I'm really happy about that. All right, I'm at work. Only a minute late. Not bad for me. Bye. Hey, so I just want to do a really quick update. I'm running to work. It's Tuesday, July 29th, I think. I just looked in. I've already forgotten. 29th. And yeah, so I'm done chemo. Yay! It's been a week and a half. My taste buds are currently at like maybe 80% back. So everything still feels a little off, but it's getting better. I was worried that my gum had actually recessed. On one of my gums, I was super panicked, but it seems like it was just a gum sore thing, and that's all cleared up, which is awesome. First mouth sore, other than the sandpaper feeling, was on round 6, but that's okay. It's gone now. Just had a call from extramural, so when I get my mastectomy, I'm gonna have extramural nurses come in and assess my drain, help me, empty it, all that jazz, check my dressing, check my wound, which is really great. And they're going to do a teaching appointment beforehand, which I really, really like. The nurse that called me to do the assessment was so lovely and so like friendly. Some people are like super clinical, and there's a difference between professional and like too clinical. Like she still did everything right, but she recognized most people getting extramural care are seniors. And so some of the questions were more about that, like showering, do any grab bars, which is great. And I'm glad that they ask it across the board. But once we had already established that my only health problem was mastectomy, she was just able to be like, I don't know, more friendly about it. I don't know. It's, she still asked all the pertinent questions, but yeah, she just, when I told her she said like, do you need any home support? And I was like, do you help out with 2-year-olds that don't want to go to bed? And then she just kind of clicked with me and was nice. I really like it when they then recognize that. And, she made jokes about that and told me about like potty training her 2-year-old. And all of that helped so much declinicalize it. And like the conversation was probably 2 minutes longer because of it, but it made it less stressful for me. And like sometimes taking a little more time just to be like, hey, this is a normal person. Not that seniors aren't normal, but you should do that with seniors too. But I don't know, just like I'm not a patient that, yeah, it just was really nice. So I'm currently going into work on day 6. Before anyone says about my employer, I was not scheduled to work 6 days in a row. I had originally said, yes, I could do 5 days in a row just because we were doing inventory, and like my manager, who's great, was like, are you sure? Are you sure you can do this? But one of my coworkers has a family funeral today, and so me and another staff person split her shift just to make sure she was going to get to go anyway. Like there was no question of that, but to make sure we're not short staffed. So I'm going in for a 6th day, and I'm exhausted. So this morning I got my daughter ready, took her to daycare, and came back and actually slept for another 4 hours, and I so needed it. I was so tired. Yeah, the last 5 days was like the first almost 40-hour stretch I've worked since all this started. And it was kind of nice to be like, look, I can do it. I can do, a couple of them were just under 8-hour shifts, but like 3 8-hour shifts in there. And yeah, it felt good to be able to be like, no, I can do this. I am good. But now I'm tired. But yeah, so anyway, I really need to clean the house. My house is a disaster. But I am going to remember one of the local, and I will plug them later once I figure out which one they were. Cleaning companies donate 6 hours of cleaning if you're going through cancer treatment. And I had kind of confirmed this with them when I started, and they were like, yeah, whenever you want, you can do 1 6-hour shift or 2 3 hours. So I think I'm going to have them come in and be like, hey, help me clean. But I really, really appreciate that. I've been saving it for my mastectomy time, but yeah, so anyway, I'm going to work now. I'm just working 4:15 to 9:15. Again, just like helping out to close the store tonight. And then I have tomorrow off. Although not really, because I have counseling and a nutrition class at the cancer center and my daughter's dance class. So it's a day off with 3 things I have to do. But yeah, so everything went well. I can't remember the last time I actually did a video, but last round of chemo kicked me on my ass. I was exhausted and like slept for like 4 or 5 days. I was so tired. But, it's a cumulative effect. I get that. Like I said, I'm considering I worked 40 hours over 5 days, or like 38. The fact I'm tired, I'd still say I'm like at 90%. Again, my mouth is the biggest thing. It's just still got a little bit of sandpaper feeling, and the taste buds are about at 80. Everything else is back to normal. The bone pain's gone. I have pain, but it's more like 41-year-old trying to chase a 2-year-old pain. So all that's good. Next weekend, I'm going to take my daughter and visit family in Nova Scotia, which I'm super excited about. And then I'm back for 4 days. I'm available to work. And then I'm off. I'm taking a week I don't know if I'd call it vacation as much as mental health time. We are going to try to get away, but just to kind of like prepare mentally for surgery, prepare the house for surgery, make sure that everything is at my level. Like there is some prep like that, just because it's possible I'm not going to be able to reach, just depending on the number of lymph nodes and that kind of thing. So we do have some of that set up. I want to make sure that the house is nice and clean and all that. So taking a week kind of to prep for mastectomy, and then mastectomy on August 25th. All right, I better go to work because I want to get a coffee on the way. Okay, bye.